Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Anyone has reviewed the previous minutes and would like to make a motion?
Motion to accept?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will move on to number 3, Health Director Report.
All right, so the tapestry, one of the agenda items is tapestry. They officially start July 1st, but they are allowing services a little earlier. They're going to start charging us July 1st.
Fiscal year.
Yeah, the whole fiscal thing, we have to make sure everything, aligns and makes sense. But they are available for like kind of on-call type of a thing right now, but they'll only start charging us July 1st.
Great.
So that's good to go. So I don't think there'll be anything else new on that. We're just going to keep rolling with it. The next thing is trash trucks, the private pickup. We have 3 permitted now.
Oh, great.
So, and I think that's it for now. I reached out to people. We have USA, we have Pioneer Valley, and we have Casella that are now.
Doesn't Amherst Trucking, they used to do?
Sold out,
Oh.
I think, to USA.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
did do so.
Pioneer, USA, and Casella.
CAS.
Is Casella the one in East Hampton or something?
I don't know where their primary location is.
The local one is, yes. But they're a good size.
Do so? Yeah, they've been around.
And what we did with the permitting is, we are now able to inspect the trucks. If somebody issues a complaint or something like that, we can make sure that they're functioning in a way that they're not polluting the environment, that type of thing. But beyond that, we also check to make sure that they're supposed to tell us where they're dumping. We checked with DEP. DEP approved the sites, and then I got proof that they are in fact actually using them as their. Yes, correct.
Cool.
So we know it's all going where it needs to
Good.
go and all that
Thank
kind of
you,
stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, the next thing is, actually before I jump on this one, I have 2 other smaller ones, which is just we have a bunch of events that we've been dealing with. Mojo Fest already happened. Jesse's Ride is this weekend. I'll be inspecting that. Then the next weekend after that, there's Bands for Brittany, which I'll also be inspecting. And then shortly after that, I'll be doing Asparagus Festival. So there's a lot of stuff in
it's
a short period
busy.
of time. It's that time of year. So we're doing a bunch of events. Now, on top of that, there's a few like one-off, like they're technically events, but they're like only one type of thing, smaller stuff. So we're dealing with that as well. And then lastly, on these small items, septic is really booming. It is that time of year. But we are more systematic now, or systematic, I should say, than we ever have been.
That's great.
We have checklists. I have a flow chart. So as soon as I get the application, I print out a flow chart.
Yeah.
The checklist, and then I start going and just making sure that I have the right order of events and we're not missing anything. Doesn't mean we're not going to make a mistake, but the idea is we make far fewer of them. That's the idea,
That's
So,
great.
lastly on that, we are also now continually checking with conservation and building before the permit is issued. So we're not hopefully going to make any mistakes related to wetlands or, there's something that would conflict and we didn't know that building permitted something there already, that type of a thing. So more communication as well with septic.
Excellent.
All right, so then the bigger topic, which happened over the last few weeks, is us working with the coalition. So it's emergency preparedness. As you guys are aware, we have 2 different groups that we're a part of. One is the collaborative, which we have our public health nurses with and does most of our food inspections now. And I'm not talking about that. The coalition is emergency preparedness only. Most of the same communities, but it's technically a different thing. The coalition is a very interesting thing. Recently, it was very interesting because it is now, Northampton is now no longer our host agency for the coalition. The state through, I gotta get my acronyms right here.
Oh my golly.
It's so many
laggy.
acronyms. HMCC, which was the body that, or agency that is in charge of emergency preparedness
Yeah.
for our region, originally had, I don't want to say originally, for a very long time now, had contracted with Northampton as our local coalition. There's a few different coalitions in the Western Mass region. And so they, it's always been the case that Northampton headed it up. They've decided that they are kind of taking over as the host, and they're going to be contracting themselves for whatever work we need to do in here and the other communities that have been a part of the coalition. I'm letting you guys know because. We also did the budget, and the budget was it's A, B, and C, and this is it's kind of like it only fits into 3 buckets, and you're going to decide based on those 3 buckets. That's how it's going to happen. So it was. Let's say that the regional and state level has much more control than they used to. And I'm letting you guys know that because you should just be aware that this is a coalition we've been a part of, and things are changing. And some of these changes, like for example, Northampton not being the host agency, we found out during the budget process. So this is not something that was like informed of us months ago or anything like this. So you should be aware that this is all very fresh, very new, very different. Their words. This is all very different. And we kind of, for myself, I'm kind of in a holding pattern to kind of see how it all shakes out, A lot of changes, not a lot of decisions yet, and so it's hard to say how it's all going to end up being. But you should just be aware that the changes are happening, and I will let you guys know about those changes as more decisions are made about those changes.
Got it.
I guess I'm just not clear how it might impact us in a negative or positive way.
So previously, as I understand it, I haven't been here for the whole time coalition, but previously the way that it was more that when the budget process took place, we'd sit down, and this is from a grant from the state, the funding for the coalition. The grant had certain things that we needed to do to satisfy it. But there was a lot of a wide variety of things we could do to satisfy the grant. And so we kind of would we being the different communities, would kind of come up with what we were going to budget for that year, and we present that to HMCC. Make sure I'm right on that. Yes, and then we would go forth and execute on it that coming year. So it was much more at our own local level, like the communities kind of decided a lot more. That affects us in the sense that we don't have as much. It's not as much the communities making the decisions themselves. It's much more, let's say, a little bit more top down, less bottom up. That's my opinion on it, at least. So that's where it is. Let's see, anything else about that? I think that's it for me. Do you guys have any questions for me?
No,
Thank you for all your work, Ben.
No problem, no problem.
Peter?
Okay, so, under item number 4, permits. So, as I think I mentioned the last meeting, we had, everybody from a food establishment viewpoint has been permitted. 100%.
great.
Everyone's compliant.
Awesome.
No real issues. As Ben has already mentioned, the Title V activity has obviously picked up. It's, if you will, that time of year. And I was mentioning to Ben this morning that yesterday, the phone and the email activity was just like really high. People asking, do you know where my leach field is? Do you know where my septic tank is? Or, it'd be a contractor, gee, I'm going out to do an inspection at 120 such and such a street. Do you have any information?
You have the original plan.
Yeah, and it's like, Dave Farnham said. So that has been very active. So, it's good for Hadley. It's good for us in terms of, permit revenue and so on and so forth. Keeps Ben and Kevin very busy. But, so that's going on. As Ben mentioned, we have 3 trash haulers now that are permitted. Everything else in terms of permitting is up to speed. Everybody's compliant. I'm unaware of any issues that have been brought to anybody else's attention. So right now I think we're in really good shape. Do you want me to jump to item number 6, which is
We
permitting
might as well,
fees?
because that kind of ties in.
Okay, so, as I sent a note to Margaret the other day as she was soliciting items for this month's agenda, I mentioned permitting fees. So let me preface this topic by saying 2 things. Number one, I'm going to revisit again the fees that we're charging for applications for the purpose of inflation and so on and so forth. A lot of our fees have not been touched. I've been here almost 4 years. A lot of them just have not been touched. So, I would advocate, again, I don't get to vote, but I would advocate that you guys consider, revisiting the fees maybe in the fall, late summer, early fall, so that if we are going to do anything for January 1st, 2026, we're preemptive. We're not doing this on December 31st, because what ends up happening is that some of the contractors, as an example, the haulers, installers, and so on and so forth, some of them are actually proactive. They don't wait to hear from us, so they'll send in an application with their money.
Yeah, that sounds like September's a good time, too.
Yeah, like
for
in
us to
October,
do.
November. So I would say, let's get through the summer and so on and so forth. But I would say fall, I think we need to revisit. And again, I'll feed you guys the data because
Yeah.
what I'm doing is I'm surveying some of the other towns in Massachusetts. And I'll give you an example in a minute. The other thing that I want to mention before I forget to mention it is I checked with our town clerk this week to make sure that this board still had authority to go ahead and raise fees. And the answer is yes. So it said differently, it does not have to go to town meeting, doesn't have to go to the state or anything like that.
Thank you for
Okay.
checking.
So, and she handed me something in writing this morning.
Great.
So I just want to make sure that, again, the rules didn't change since the last time we had this kind of conversation, and they have not. So you guys, again, you have the authority, based upon what the town clerk gave me today, you guys have authority to go ahead and move forward. So,
So I guess at that, I think it's probably we should make a motion that we will examine, I don't know if we need to do that, we'll examine the fees in September.
Yeah, let's plan on September,
Yeah,
if you
Just
can
that
get
we'll
the
make it an
information
agenda
together
item.
by then.
Oh, good, and it's the same comparisons as before?
yeah, so what I did is I just did a quick survey last week and this week of local towns, and I also went kind of outside of Hampshire County and Franklin County. So I have it in kind of descending order, Northampton, Greenfield, Hatfield. I threw Lowell in there because I checked Lowell and Gloucester and all these other towns in terms of like, what's everybody else doing
Yeah,
outside of
check all the ones on the Cape.
outside the 403 area code. And, so Hadley, as you can see, we're kind of quote unquote in the middle, if you will. There's a couple towns that are actually a little bit less than us, but as you can see, some of the towns closest to us, they're double what we charge. I would advocate that we remain consistent in terms of not looking to gouge
Right.
anybody in terms of, again, single-day event permits. And again, these are primarily food trucks. But at the same time, again, we haven't changed these fees, this particular fee, again, since I started in 2021. And again, inflation is, you guys know what inflation has been, and we can kind of guess what it's going to be.
So do we want to discuss the single-day permit and act on that now, considering summertime, there's a lot of single-day permits?
I would recommend that you don't, and
Okay.
I say that because we've already permitted so many, as
Okay.
Ben mentioned a couple of minutes ago.
Okay.
We just finished an event, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, the Mojo Fest, and then there's one this Saturday.
All right, so
one
we'll
next
deal with
Saturday,
it in
and then one
September.
the Saturday after that.
And go live in January 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think,
Fine.
I would also recommend that you guys do a review of all of them kind of at the
Yep.
same
That's
time,
fine.
so that you're not doing this every single month.
Fine.
So I will take the responsibility of providing the data.
Excellent.
That way you guys can make
Thank you, Peter.
if you will, a data-driven decision,
Yep.
and you can vote on all
Thank
of them all at once, or,
Great.
pick and choose. Again, it's up to you guys, but.
Okay.
And I've got to believe, although I don't know this to be true, but I got to believe that, some of the other departments in town government will probably be doing the same at some point.
Yep.
So, and I think this, Ben and I have talked about this, I think this kind of puts the Board of Health in a good position in terms of, when we get to the point of looking at, okay, where do we need to make, budget cuts going forward? Where's the revenue being driven? So again, not that we're getting rich issuing food permits and
Right.
food truck permits and, hauling trash and that kind of stuff. We're not going to be out buying yachts
But
and
there
things
is a
like that.
certain amount
But-
of paperwork and legwork that goes on behind the
So-
scenes that we have to make sure that we're at least.
Yeah, and that's, that was gonna be my last point. Thank you for reminding me. There's a cost of us doing business.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, Ben does a lot of the running around, the pushback. If somebody needs to give us more documentation, Ben's on the phone. It's like, and that, obviously, the meter's running. My role is, making sure that, again, we did actually get a check. After Ben has reviewed everything, and then make sure that the permit actually gets out the door in a timely fashion and so forth. And again, this is just one example. And again, food trucks is obviously
Sure.
fairly seasonal. But,
Okay.
so I just want to kind of give you an example of, what I'm looking at and again, what I plan on doing in terms of research and whatnot. So I'll be looking at, haulers, installers, the food permits, and the other businesses in town, up and down Route 9 and so on and so forth. So,
Good?
any questions or?
No, thank you.
Okay, so I think that's it for me.
Then we have the town nurse on the agenda.
No,
but-
Marcy's, I did not hear from Marcy this month.
Okay.
Any other business that was not anticipated?
The only thing I wanted to remind everybody or mention is that May 20th is the town election.
Right.
It's here. Early voting starts next week in the town hall. So in the hallway, they'll have the voting stations set up. I think they start at 9:30 in the morning and finish, it was 2 or 2:30, I forget. But, so you don't want to wait till the 20th. You can come into the town hall next week and, just go to the town clerk's office and she'll get, somebody will give you a
I
ballot.
think I'll do that.
Fill it out there and go. So,
It's nice to
Thank you, Peter.
yep.
Anything else, anybody?
I think we just need to set the next week's,
Yeah, the next
Oh my
meeting.
not
golly,
week,
it's
but
pouring
next,
out all of a
next
sudden.
month. Next month, Board of Health.
We should what?
Set
Board of
next
Health.
month's Board of
I,
Health.
I
Yes.
have that it would be June 12th, which is the second Thursday of the month
Okay,
at
Yeah.
6:30.
I don't have any conflicts.
I don't know that.
okay.
So June
Good.
12th.
Are
Okay.
people okay with meeting here rather than the Zoom, or do people
Yeah,
want
here
to
is fine.
pursue? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Okay.